Okay, let us move on to the second program. The problem statement here is write a C++ program to read and write student objects with fixed length records and fields delimited by the pipe symbol. Implement, pack, unpack, modify and search methods. What the problem statement here telling is we need to develop a C++ program in such a way that that program should read and write a student objects with a fixed length records. It's a very important keyword that they have given over here with a fixed length records. If we take a student will be having many records. Student will be having USN, student will be having address, student will be having a branch, student will be having a class, etc. and etc. That records must be in a fixed length. We must externally specify some fixed length so that it should be adjusted in the only that length. It should not go beyond that length, and there must be no dynamic allocation must not be done here, because as they have given a fixed length record, this is the very important aspect over here. And each field in a student record, as I have already told you, that student records may contain many fields. Each field must be separated by this delimited symbol, this pipe symbol. Each field should be separated by this pipe symbol. We need to implement a pack. Pack is a function which is going to take details from a standard input, and it is used to pack, and it is used to dump that data into the file. And unpack is a function which is going to take records and scan the file that is created, and it is used to take the values from that file, and it is used to give an output. And modify is a function it will give a facility for a user to modify any data that is already having inserted in any of the records or any of the field. If a user want to modify, you can make use of this function. And a search is used to search any field or any record in a file database. Now let us see how the program has implemented. IOStream, header file IOStream, CStream, and FStream, standard library.h, stdlib.h, and string as already used. And one main thing that they have defined is hash define size 50. As they have given a fixed length records, here we are taking a size as a 50. Here we are declaring externally what is the fixed size of each record. We are assuming that the student record will not going to exceed more than 50. That's why what we are going to do is we are going to define the size variable as a 50 using namespace std. Now let us let us create a class of fixed length. Fixed length in a class, it is a syntax of creating a class in a C++. Class fixed length. This is a structure inside a class. As we have seen before, it contains only one name. As in a previous program, we have seen that it contains only one name, so that we don't have a necessity of creating a structure. But here student is a record which contains many fields which is related to the student. That's why for a systematic arrangement or for systematic accessing, for systematic processing of the data in the future, what we need to do is we need to create one structure so that it will be having a systematic methodology for operating on any of the particular record. So that for that one, what we need to do is we need to create a structure inside a class. Student, these are the various fields that are related to the student: USN, name, SAME, and department. They are all declared under a character. And after that, declaring functions inside a class. Inside a class only we should declare the function under public access specifier, and they are declaring under public access specifier void pack, void unpack, search, and modify. And now let us move on to the main function, so that will come afterwards to these functions. Int main fixed length. Yeah, this is a creation of object under a class fixed length. This is a syntax of creating an object under a class fixed length. This is a buffer of size that we have specified externally as a 50. As we are using buffer, one main concept in our file structure, whenever we are dealing with the file, we can't directly insert or we can't directly take from a file. We need an intermediate variable, or we need an intermediate object to be placed in between the file and an user. That's why what we need to do is we need to create one buffer. whenever we need to insert into a file, what we need to do is first, directly we can't insert into the file directly. First what we need to do is we need to insert the data first into the buffer variable or a buffer object. From the buffer we need to insert into a file. Directly we can't insert to a file, or directly we can't take data from a file. We need an intermediate buffer between a file and an user. And now let us create one variable under data type of ifstream. ifstream, as we have already seen, let's see. ifstream is a data type, represents the input file stream and is used to read information from files. ifstream is a data type. It will represent an input file stream and used to read the data from the files. It's a variable that is declared, that is used to read a data from a file. ifile open, as you have already seen the syntax of open. I don't require to show you once again. Open student1.txt in an iOS output mode. We are opening this file in an output mode. If that file, this while, if we have used the while loop over here, in order to get how many records are there, here we have used a while loop in order to get how many records are there in that file. Initially, how many, we need to have a computation of count value. We need to have an idea about how many records are there priorly to the run of the program. What we need to do is we need to get an information about what and all the records are there, how many records are there in a file. For that one, what we need to do is, it is a file EOF. Let's see the function use of this function. EOF, it is used to check whether EOF bit is set. EOF is a flag variable. It is used to check, the function EOF used to check whether EOF bit is set or not. The flag is set by all the standard input operations when end of the file is reached. Whenever the pointer has reached the end of the file, what it will do is it will set the EOF flag bit as a 1. If you use EOF function, it will check whether the EOF bit flag bit is set or not. That's the use of that EOF function. It will see whether if it not has reached the end of the file. ifile in the sense it's an object that is related with the student1.txt. If that file, if it has not reached the end of the file, then it will continue. GetLine, as I have already told, the getLine function is used to get a characters that is specified, the number of characters that is specified from a file. Buffer 100 up to $1. Up to the dollar. That dollar is to mention after dollar represents the end of the records, and it is used to retrieve the characters from the file, and it is used to dump into the buffer. And count plus plus, as it retrieve each and every record, what it will do is it will increment a count. Count is a global variable that we have declared over here, and we have initialized that value to the 0. What it will do is, what the while function will do is, it will retrieve the each and every record in the form of a line, and then what it will do is it will keep on incrementing the count, so that what we can get is, we can get how many numbers of records are there in a file, so that we can use that count value for further computational purposes. And here we need to mention count minus because at the end of the, although if end of the file has reached, it will increment 1 extra here. It will increment 1 extra whenever it is going back to the while function. 1 extra it will increment whenever it going to, after increment count, it will go to the while function condition check. After that it will come out of that one, but that's why it has incremented 1 extra than the records that really exist in the file. That's why what we need to do is we need to decrement the value by 1. After that, we need to close. We need to deallocate the resources that I have allocated for that file. And now for loop that is an infinite loop. It's an infinite loop. What we need to do is count see out. These are the options that it will give for a user to choose: pack, unpack, search, modify, exit, and it will ask enter your choice. After entering the user by choice through the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, according to the user specification, it will switch the cases. If for example, if the user has entered 1, what it will do is it will f.pack. F is a function. F is the object that is created by that is created under a class, fixed class. What it will do is it will go to the pack function above for execution. This is the syntax of defining a function that is outside the class. This is the return type, void, and the class name, scope resolution operator, and a function. And this is the syntax of C++. What we need to do is we need to create one buffer. As I already told, we can't directly insert or we can't directly retrieve from a file. We need some buffer in between to send or retrieve from a file. This is a student. Yes, this is a stack. This is a structure variable that we are creating under a student data type. It's a type defined data type structure. If we create a structure, it is used to make a type defined data type, and enter USN name, SAM, department. It will take s.usn, s.name, and s.sam, and s.department. What we need to do is we need to create one variable of OFStream. OFStream, as we have already discussed, OFStream is a data type that is used to declare the variables that is used to write the data into the file, that is used for output purposes. OF file dot open student1.txt. 1.txt will be open in an append mode. Append mode in the sense it will make a pointer, a cursor of a file to point to the last of end of the file, so that whatever the data that we will dump into the file, that will print from that last end. That's the functionality it will do. iOS append mode. Printf. Yes, printf. What it will do is the syntax. Let's see the syntax of this one. This is the syntax of this one. sprintf char string and char format. Okay, string and format should be there. str string is a pointer to an array of a char elements where the resulting C is stored. This is a buffer variable that we need to specify over here. And this is a format in the sense it may be of the format will be just like this: character, signed decimal, integer, character, nothing printed, pointer, anything it may be. And the flags, it's just like that. sprintf, it's a buffer name that we are specifying. Here specifiers, format specifiers, it will specify what type of data that is we are going to dump into the buffer. This is s.usn, s.name, s.sim, s.department respectively. For this format specifier, it will dump the data in this direction, from the left side, from the right side to the left side. It will dump the data that is specified over here, from here to this buffer. Through this format specifiers, it will specify s.usn is of the type char, s.name is of the type char, s.sim is the type of char, s.department is the type of char. It will dump the data into the buffer. As they have stated, it should be each and every record should be delimited by this delimiter, the pipe. We have specified over here like this delimiter. Each and every record is separated by this pipe symbol, as they have specified in the question. Now what we need to do is we need to take a length of the buffer, what and all the characters, how many characters are there in that one. String length is a strlen is a inbuilt function that is there in a string operations. It will compute the length of records that we have already dumped into the buffer. As they have stated, it should be a fixed length if the length of the buffer that we have dumped the data is less than the size that we have specified at the top of the program. Size is 50. What it will do is the remaining size, if it is the less than that one, it will do is the remaining size will be filled by this underscore symbol. remaining fields, the remaining bytes will be filled by this underscore symbol as to cover the remaining space, because we can't use that remaining space for a next record as they have stated it's of a fixed length. What we need to do is uh, fill that area by underscore, and length plus plus we need to increment the length variable. It will keep on looping up to the length equal to the size minus 1, and see count plus plus, because as the count is a variable, global variable, which keeps the record of how many characters have been, how many records have been dumped into a file, how many records have been inserted into the file. As we have inserted here one record, what we need to do is count, we need to increment a count. At last, at a buffer, we need to we need to place the dollar as it's end of the record, and after that we need to dump buffer into OFI object. This object is linked with the student1.txt. What it will do is this, as soon as we dump this into this object, this object will make sure that it will going to dump the data into that file. And at last we need to deallocate the close, we need to deallocate all the resources that we have allocated for that one. Now let us see the one more function, that is unpack. Unpack is a function which is going to read the file, and it is used to get all the information from that file. Okay. Char, we need to declare two buffers. Student as, we need to declare one data type under a structure as, and ifstream for ifile, we need to declare one variable that is for input purposes. Ifile.open, we need to open an input file in an output mode. Cout database, n is equal to 0, we have declared n is equal to 0. Count is a global variable that is used to make a keep on track of how many records have been inserted into the file. If n is less than count, if n is less than count, what it will do is it will enter into the loop. Ifile, it's an object, it will get a line, it will retrieve the line. It will retrieve the line in the sense it will retrieve a whole record. It will retrieve a whole record of size 100. It's more than 50, but it's okay. It will not create any error for that one. It will retrieve all the data up to the dollar into the buffer. It will dump into the buffer. The scanf, as we have already seen in a printf, the data is going to transfer from here to here, from the right side to left side. But in a scanf, the data, it is going to transfer from the left side to the right side. The scanf buffer. Here we need to specify the format specifiers in the sense up to, this is a caret symbol, up to we need to scan the record, each and every record up to the delimiter pipe. Each and every record we need to consider one field up to the delimiter that we have specified here, and then we need to dump that values into the specified variables here, s.usn, s.name, s.sem, s.department, and temporary variable for this dollar. And then we need to print s.usn, s.name, s.sem, and all, just like that. All the, it will keep on repeating, n will be incremented, it will keep on repeating up to n is equal to the count. And we have to close the file, and let us see one more functionality, that is search function. So here also we need to declare two buffer variables, that is buff and a temp, and one more is usr. Student as is a function that's a data type, it's a variable that is come from a data type student. We need to declare one variable ifile from an ifstream data type. Ifile open, we need to open a student. The search function will search the records that is already there in a file based on the usn that will be specified by the user. ios.out, enter the usn to be searched. It will take a usn that need to be searched from a user. What it will do, it will search like this in a database. Get line, it will get line firstly it will get the line in the form of a record in the form of a line, and it will dump it into a buffer. It will scan, it will from left to right, it will go to the transfer the data into the various variables that is there here, and it will compare whether this usn s.usn comma usn that is specified, is this s.usn is a usn that is there in a file. The usn variable is a one which he has taken from a user. It will string compare. String compare. Let us see the syntax of a string compare. String compare, what it will do is it will compare the string pointed to by str1 and pointed to by str2. What it will do is it will compare the values that are pointed by str1 and str2. It will, if it returns 0, if the string compare value returns, the return value is less than 0, then it indicates that string 1 is greater than string 2. If it is written less than 0, it is stated, it is understood that string 1 is greater than, it is less than string 2. If it is greater than 0, string 1 is greater than string 2. If it is equal to 0, both are equal. It is just like subtracting the two numbers. If the string 1 is 1 and string 2 is 2, it will return a negative value. If the string 1 is 2, if it string 2 is 1, it will return a positive value. If the string 1 is 2 and the string 2 is 2, what it will do is it will return a 0, just like that, just like an analogy. What it will do is if it is 0, then the USN that we are searching got matched. What it will do is it will print the records that we have already scanned from a buffer to these variables into the output, standard output. It will increment an n++, and if it is not successful, what it will do is it will increment n++ and it will continue the loop. If it is okay, then it will come out of the loop and it will close the file and it will complete it off. Now let us look on to the last and very important function in this one, that is modify. Whatever the data that we have dumped into the file, we need to modify the data. If the user want to modify the data, he can make use of this function. Here also we need to make use of two temporary variables, buffer variables. Student S is a variable that declared under a data type student. ifstream, we are declaring one input variable under a data type ifstream. We are opening a file, input file in the form of an output mode. Enter the USN to be modified. We need to take an USN because USN is the only one which can be used to it can be used to access the data because it's a primary key. It is unique in nature. USN database, same as before, n is equal to 0. If n is less than count, what we need to do is we need to retrieve each and every record in the form of one line. What we need to do is we need to transfer the data that is in the buffer to these variables, and then we need to compare whether the USN is matched with the USN that is given by the user. If it is matched, key found, it will display key found, and it will ask the user to choose an action. What you need to do, whether you need to modify the name, whether you need to modify the SEM, whether you need to modify the department. Based on the user choice, it will make a switch case. It will map processing to the case. If it is case 1, enter name, enter name. If user decides to modify the name, what the program will do is it will ask the user to enter the name that you are going to modify, modified name. The user will enter the modified name, s.name break, and modify SEM. If user has defined a modified SEM, we need to take a modified SEM. We need to write here modified SEM, and that department in the same way department also. What we need to do is whatever the data that we have modified over here, we need to dump the data into the file. We need to update the data into the file that is already exist. The same way, ofstream ofile.open, we need to open the file in an input mode. This is a sprintf. The data will transfer from the right side to the left side through this format specifiers, to these delimiters pipes. It will dump the data, modified data into the buffer, and length is equal to string length of buffer. It will take the length of the buffer, what's the length of the buffer, and it will, if the length is less than size minus 1, as we have already seen, we know that it's a fixed length. If the length is not equal to that buffer, it will if the length is not equal to the size, what it will do is the remaining size will be filled by this underscores, and length plus plus, it will increment the length, it will continue the loop until the length is equal to size. After that, after completing, after filling the entire size, what it will do is it will string concatenates, it will join the string that is specified over here to the strings that are already present in a buffer. What it will do is o file seek p n into size. Let's see what's the syntax of this one. This is the syntax of the seek p, and seek p offset and iOS base and seek directory wing. The position, if it is used to find absolute position within the string. Offset value related to the way of parameter. It is used to set a position in an output sequence. What the seek p will do is it will use to set a position in an output sequence. It is used to put a position in an output sequence. N is a variable that we have used over here. N is a variable that will specify on which record we are modifying, on which record we are making the modification. As we have seen here, n, while getting lines from a file, we are incrementing the n. If the specified number of usn if you got a specified number of usn, n value will be updated. In that portion only we need to dump the value, modified value. So that we will use n into size, that size we have already specified from a iOS beginning offset. What it will do is it will make a buffer into the I file. It will make the cursor in a specified position, and at last it will close the file and it will deallocate the resources that I have allocated. Allocate the resources that I have allocated. If not, it will make a n plus plus and it will continue the loop. If it is okay, it will close. That's the second program.